For Hi.
That was a 1 second count off that we just got to start the show. Hey, everybody. Google Hangouts again, sort of messing with us in how our show gets started. You know what we should
Yeah.
do? We should probably just make a title card, start it, and then do our own, like, 5 count once the title card is on the screen.
Yeah.
So that's
I agree. I
seconds of
agree.
title card, and then we can jump in from there. And, like, take that, Google Hangouts, with your inconsistent launch times.
Yes, I think we will do that for next week. So anyway, welcome guys to episode 7 of the week. I keep forgetting.
There's no way to know. There's no way to know.
Yeah,
You're just going to
yeah.
have to keep tuning into the weekly each week knowing that we'll probably have an episode.
Yes, and this is season 2.
Bam.
Yes. And of course with me this week is the one and only Mr. Ryan Magnell from Somegadgetguy. How's it going, man?
West Coast represent, man. I got my coffee. We're on a different day just so we could all catch up from MWC and PAX coverage. So let's chat some stuff out, man. There was some hot news.
Yeah. So this week we actually had 3 conferences in the same week. 2 were game related. 1 was mobile. MWC was the first one, which is probably the biggest one also in Barcelona, and we also had GDC this week, Game Developer Conference, out in San Francisco. And then this weekend we had PAX East in Boston, Mass, in my neck of the woods. And with that, we also are going to be giving away some codes here, some game codes. If you're a fan of the game Smite, early access code for the Xbox One starts on the 11th. It's no way to get it right now except right here. Right here. So we got some Smite codes. We also got some skins. Lots of skins. We have skins for days. Okay, that didn't sound right, but we have lots of Smite skins. So all you have to do is subscribe to Booredatwork as well as Somegadgetguy, and then just leave a comment. Tell us why you want it. With this video, it's cool, and then we'll select throughout the video. And we'll let you know. Just chime in, that kind of fun stuff. So let's start off with this week. So let's start off with the main things first. MWC was this week. There were 2 big announcements at least starting off, and we'll start off with the two main guys who made big announcements. Saturday, the first big announcement came from HTC. They announced the HTC One M9. I was going to say One M8.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily be accused of being overly sensitive if you were confused between the designs on the M8 and the M9.
So they announced the One M9, which is the latest flagship from HTC, and I want to get your thoughts, Juan, before, and I'll get some images and show people. But I want you to get your thoughts. What was your initial reaction from HTC's press event when you finally saw everything? We all knew the leaks and all that stuff, but
Right.
What was your impressions of the device?
Well, about the phone specifically, not about some of the other things they announced, but focusing on the phone specifically, I can totally understand why some people were a bit disappointed by what was revealed. We have this thing in the Android ecosystem where we always want new, we always want hot, we always want exciting, we always want fresh. And it seems to me that companies like HTC and Samsung, while they won't be doing exactly what Apple does in doing sort of a TikTok hardware update schedule, that HTC is more specifically targeting that, where the M8 was actually a pretty successful phone for them. It was a very expensive phone for them to manufacture, I'm sure. And they don't have to retool a whole lot to move into the M9, as the casing is almost exactly the same. And they tried to address what the biggest criticism of the M8 was its camera performance by moving to this new 20 megapixel Sony sensor. I'm a little disappointed that we're pretty sure now that this thing won't have optical image stabilization.
No, it does not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is the resolution, I don't think, was really the problem. I'm not bothered by having a slightly lower resolution camera sensor if you're giving me all of the benefits of being able to shoot better photos. Optical image stabilization has a tangible and noticeable impact on improving the quality of your video and the quality, especially of your low light photography. So that for me was sort of the But I'm actually not overly bothered by HTC going kind of TikTok like Apple does. I really like the build on the M8. I really like the design on the M8. It's not as sexy. It's not as exciting to move to the M9 and have pretty much the same stuff. But these sort of incremental improvements, and then hopefully for an M10 we get the design refresh that we've all been wanting. Whether or not I think this is a strategy that's going to play for HTC, I don't know, because we're seeing a lot of companies try and pull the Apple transition, the Apple move, and we can talk about Samsung next, especially in regards to that. So I'll be curious to see how it plays out for them. But it was sort of a not a shrug. It wasn't like I didn't care, but it wasn't a super exciting phone announcement for me. It was just sort of, oh, well, good. I'm happy they're trying to take a look at that. Maybe HTC will actually learn some lessons over this generation of smartphones.
Okay. How about you? So anyway, sorry, Warren. Thanks for joining us. How's it going, man? If I even ask you a question. So yeah, so we started off the show talking about the different things, and the first announcement of this past week was from HTC. So the question asked is, what were your thoughts when you finally heard the device, saw everything as it matched with the rumors and stuff that we saw? So what were your initial thoughts of the One M9?
Basically, it was what I expected it to be. It was what was leaked out and what we've seen. Remember, they leaked out the M8 last year, and it was pretty much accurate. So the M9 leaks were pretty much believable what I saw. Notice they made a nice improvement moving the ultra pixel camera on the front and the rear facing camera upgrading out to 20 megapixels, which should create some better photography overall. Disappointing there's no optical image stabilization in it. I think that's going to still hurt them in the camera department compared to other flagship phones out there. Pretty much almost every flagship phone now has some type of optical image stabilization built into it, and they're really one of the few that is pretty much left out of it, which I think is going to hurt them in the long run.
It's them and Motorola, right? They're the only two.
Now, Motorola has in one of their devices.
The Nexus, technically, the Nexus is made by Motorola, and the Nexus 6 does have OIS.
Yeah. So Motorola looks like they're slowly getting.
Sorry, I didn't mean
that'll be up to Lenovo's decision if they continue
forward.
Move forward with that, which I'm assuming they probably would. It's HTC going, I guess, TikTok between their designs. They got a lot of praise for the M9. They sold a lot of it. A lot of praise for the M8. They sold a lot of names, but they didn't sell that many M8s. So I'm thinking here, this is their way of still not changing design that much and still trying to live up the buzz of the M8 within the M9 and saying, hey, we have what we had last year, but now we push more megapixels out of our camera. It's kind of what they're saying there with this. And the speaker's a little bit better too. With I think the speaker does 5.1 now. I don't think the previous ones had done 5.1.
Didn't do it.
Well, and this is their first. This is their return phone for having a direct partnership with Dolby.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the first phone was Beats. The second phone was their own, and the third.
Oh no. I mean, sorry, I'm a little foggy today. It's the HTC Surround was their first phone. It was the Windows phone that had a relationship with Dolby, that big slider speaker. Yeah. And now they're going back to Dolby because obviously they've ended their partnership with Beats. And Boom Sound was its own sort of software tweak on the M8, but now they've actually got certification from a legit audio source again.
Yeah. So they that's nice that they've included that with it. But overall it's like, all right, let's see what's out here, because you got to think of last year, and we'll probably talk about this company at some point in the middle of all this. But you had the three big players come out last year, the three big phones, and in reality, HTC got a lot of praise, sold phones, but if I remember correctly, I think the LG G3 still outsold it by a whole lot. So. And it's a race for second because, quite frankly, neither one of them are catching Samsung anytime soon. So it's interesting. I don't know if this is going to get them past into territory against the LGs of the world, because that's where their competition is. Apple's competing with Samsung. They're on a whole other plane. This is competing against guys like LG and Motorola and such like that are selling in that second level of sales right now. And I don't even think this phone's really going to get them past that point.
Yeah, I was disappointed with it. I was just hoping that for some reason, even though the design stayed the same, there were more things underneath that were different for the device. So That for me was the disappointment there. The OIS and the camera was just to me was more the huge letdown because we saw them move the ultra pixels to the front, which is cool. You can get better selfies that way, and we're not selfie people here, but that's fine. But then you move into that rear camera where Samsung has OIS, Sony has OIS, LG has OIS, Motorola's incorporated some of OIS, some of the Chinese manufacturers, some of their devices have OIS, not all, but some, here or there, depending on who you're looking at. Nokia has OIS, Microsoft has OIS. So everyone is moving in that arena. And like you said before, Juan, this is HTC just not sure exactly what they're going to do in certain things, whether they leave or not. And then the other part that, even though this is not the announcement afterwards, is now the rumblings of a one M9 Plus.
Or Prime, or
Prime,
Pro, or
whatever.
We've heard a couple of different rumors on what this thing is going to be.
Which is slightly larger, might have OIS, and have all these other features that would make it the phone to buy. Makes me say, why didn't you just re-announce this? You don't have to necessarily say release it immediately, but at least, why are you shooting yourself in the foot? That's my own thing. Especially with all these leaks and images. It's not just people saying there's a plus. There are images of the plus out there right now. So why are you shooting yourself in the foot? So that's the thing that I wasn't too thrilled with. The best thing HTC had at the show was the Vive. But the problem is,
we can move on. The part of the announcement I was really excited about was the Vive.
Revive, yes, which is part of the reline. But the reason why the Vive is as good as it is because it's made by Valve. It's not made by HTC.
Well, and let's be honest, we don't know if it's good.
From we don't know
why it's as exciting as it is, and also I like the idea of a traditional mobile company not using their phone as the display. I don't know how it's going to be powered. I don't know if you're going to need an HTC product to power these goggles.
It's strictly PC powered.
But that's what I mean, is instead of you just put your phone into this thing and now it's your headset display. I actually kind of liked HTC walking away from that entirely, and they're going to be coming up with, it's their own standalone solution for powering the unit. You don't have to have your phone sort of cannibalized to be a part of the system.
I like the idea, but the honest truth, that's not the idea. It's a PC product, gaming product that is made by Valve and is designed by HTC aesthetically. Has nothing to do with a mobile company, in my mind. It literally is a Valve product. So right. For me, it's more or less the same. I looked at this more like Valve couldn't partner with Samsung.
Maybe that's true. I think it's just we're watching HTC try and diversify, which is the exact thing I'm not disagreeing HTC with about for years. They can design a beautiful flagship, and then they're kind of crap everywhere else right now. So I want them to be trying anything. This is the same thing. If Apple builds a car, we'll be really excited because it's the same problem we've had with Apple, that they're so focused on iOS. They need to do something else.
Yeah.
So HTC sort of stepping into that, even if it is just to design the aesthetics. I like HTC aesthetics, so I'm cool with that.
Thoughts, Warren?
Another VR set. Whoa.
All right.
I'm done.
Have you actually used a VR set before?
I was at CES, bro. I think I've used about 20 VR that's there.
Which ones have you used?
I've used.
No, I'm just wondering. Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking. I've used Oculus. I've used. Why can't I remember their names right now? There's the one that works with the. I've used the Gear VR. There's another one that works with a Note 4 as well too, and I can't remember the name of it. It was at a party that we went to that we used all of it. But I'm like, it's nice that HTC's getting into this. I just wish they would. I don't know. I wish they'd focus on mobile phones more so than virtual reality headsets. I'm not sure, what money or space they have to make the Samsung go and make anything they want to make, because they're Samsung. They make about 1 billion different things in the world. HTC makes one thing. They make phones, and don't even have a tablet presence at all either. So I don't know.
They do the Nexus.
But it's to me it's whoop-de-doo, because we haven't seen it yet, so we don't even know. So all I can kind of say is, man, until we get to actually use it. But
I just miss the company that used to do all of those radical designs for Windows Mobile. I miss that HTC.
Yeah.
They had slider keyboards, they had horizontal slider keyboards, they had the universal, which was like this clamshell fold up, flip around. They were flirting with mobile Windows computing products. They had early Slate computing products and tablets, and I kind of miss them being the company that would sort of push the boundaries in all these different hardware designs. I miss a little
where
of
I
that
thought they were
vibe.
going to do that was actually with the grip and that whole partnership with Under Armour. I mean, I know, yeah, it's really, literally still fitness based, right? I wanted an Under Armour like workout shirt that I didn't actually have to wear a wristband anymore. That would work with my HTC phone. I wanted something like that because you said you're working with Under Armour, right?
Right.
And Under Armour is known to be, the image Under Armour gives like, oh, we are hardcore fitness.
Right.
We're the guys that, the NFL players with Under Armour underneath. So I wanted that gear from Under Armour that felt like, man, I'm getting that NFL training. I'm getting that, give the consumer that sense. And all we got was the grip that has no heart rate monitor at all.
Yeah. But no, I mean it kind of works like an entry level Fitbit sort of.
At $200.
Right. So that's pretty great.
Same price as a Fitbit, which has heart rate monitoring.
Yeah, so it's the same.
That's the thing, that you can't do that. If you're going to do entry level, right? Do entry level.
Meanwhile, I put on my Microsoft band.
So yeah, you can't do that. You just can't do that. That's to me like the whole thing with the Revive. Fine, is cool, but it was the Under Armour partnership that I thought, okay, maybe they will have all these different things that would say, hey, you know what, we're expanding into this area, and we're working with a company that deals with this on a regular basis, and all we got was a smartwatch or a smart band that, doesn't do that much in terms of fitness, altogether. Anyway, moving on from HTC, the next big announcement at the show was from Samsung. Samsung announced 2 devices. They kept it nice and simple, no smartwatches. I mean, they did announce an accessory for the S6, which is the Gear VR innovator, but we expected that was going to come. But the S6 and the S6 Edge, what are your thoughts when you saw it? When Samsung laid everything out. I'll start off with you, Warren, this time. What are your thoughts about Samsung's announcement?
It pretty much was what I think everyone kind of expected from all the leaks. It's a nice phone. It definitely is. I think it answers the complaints for people that are complaining about, I don't want plastic body. Why is it plastic? Why can't it be all metal and all this other stuff? And now they got an all glass, all whatever metal phone that it is now. So, which I never thought it was that big of a deal, but they finally delivered that out there. When I kind of saw both phones, I'm like, why they have the S6 and S6 Edge there? So why does the regular S6 exist? What's the point of that phone? I know. To me, it's like you look at the 2 of them, and people are dying for something that looks different or attractive. And you look at the S6 Edge, which differentiates itself more than the regular S6 does. It's just like they should just focus on that one particular phone. But overall, I think it's a nice device. It's got everything you need. It's interesting that they're using their own Exynos processor now, which I think should make a huge difference in the way TouchWiz works comparative to past versions. They've lightened up TouchWiz. We'll see how much they've lightened it up when we actually get the hands-on and the carriers throw everything they possibly can inside of it to bloat it up as much as possible. Yeah, we want all those pre-installed applications because we buy everything from it. Sure, we do. But overall, I think it's a step up from the S5. It was probably things that we would hope they were going to do with the S5. They do with the S6. I know a lot of people are going to complain. There's a lot of complaints about the non-removable battery and the micro SD card. Those are the only things that made Samsung different. Really? S1 through S5, and the only difference between that and all the rest of the other companies was the fact that they had removable storage.
Not all the other companies. It's that Samsung has their sights set on Apple.
And
they're still running S5 commercials.
Yeah.
With people talking about, I just switch my battery whenever it runs low. I mean, they just announced the S6, and that's still a key marketing bullet point for the S5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I can appreciate a little from consumers on what Samsung might be doing with this strategy.
Yeah, it's nice. I want to meet the people that are using that because I see a lot of Samsung users, and I'm like, how many of you bought a second battery? Number one.
It does. See, the thing is that
But
you can say that it really doesn't matter.
okay.
The reason why I say it doesn't matter is because your marketing messages say that. That's the
And
problem.
I guess the marketing messages means jack because no one's doing it.
But people buy the phone because if they need to, they can.
Exactly. You're saying that. You're going by we can't use anecdotal.
It's the same thing. Like, I bought a huge Ford F-350 turbo diesel.
You can't use anecdotal evidence of. It's like me saying, okay, hey, this is all I see. Again, it's just me. I'm one in the small size, just like you are, and just like Juan is. The thing is that, for instance, the other aspect is, somebody mentioned. I was talking to John V, and he said the funny part is at the Oscars, right? Samsung goes splash water, Galaxy S5 ad. That was the ad they ran at the Oscars. S6 has no waterproofing at all.
Okay, that's a different device. So they
no, but then you're almost telling your consumers who bought the S5 that one key feature that may have bought it for, because and that's what they did a lot with the S5 is like, if I drop it, no problem. I don't want to upgrade to the S6 now because I have kids. Or I'm clumsy.
Well,
this is the kind of thing that you're throwing away.
Then tell that to the consumer that was sitting there complaining to Samsung that they had all plastic phones.
You can do it.
This was an answer to all the whining and complaining that everyone was doing about Samsung's build. You got the phone that you asked for. Shut up and deal with it now.
No.
You did. I didn't ask for that. I didn't care, but that's what you complaining about. So Samsung just made this phone. So Samsung just made this phone for the hell of it.
So
they didn't do consumer research. They didn't do any of that.
I really enjoyed the build on the Alpha, and I'm holding a Galaxy Note 4, which is usually praised for its build quality, the style, design, and aesthetics. I think there are a couple other avenues that Samsung could have explored. I was really hoping that the Galaxy S6 was going to be sort of an Alpha Pro.
Yeah, there
was room for Samsung to execute on a design language that they have been exploring since the Galaxy S5 Active, where you got
the other thing to mention is this phone can be waterproof. It has no removable battery. All it has is basically 3 ports that you can close off, literally.
I don't know that you can do. I don't know that you can do a waterproof.
I know a company that was showing coding 2 years ago.
No. I don't know that you can do. I don't know of any waterproof phone that uses pin tool access for the SIM card slot.
Is there?
I don't think there is.
Sony. I don't think so.
Oh no, Sony's latch.
Sony has a latch.
The Brigadier. I mean, you've got those like really huge port covers that cover everything up, even though it's sealed.
Well, you know what? Well, we'll see what the Z4 is, but I'm sure you could have changed the design from a pin tool to a latch or something.
What we're talking about is Samsung, who went after thin by reducing the battery capacity. A Samsung who went after a more Apple-like design. Because I kind of agree with Warren. Like, I kind of wish they had just gone with the Edge, because the normal Galaxy S6 looks
boring.
Well, and not just boring, but I mean, when you look down to how the speaker holes are drilled, when you look down to where the antenna coverage is in the metal frame, when you look to how the corners are rounded, not just that they're rounded corners, but how they're rounded, how they're chamfered, how they're curved, I see too much Apple DNA in that design, and I think Samsung has learned some of the wrong lessons in addressing I think the legitimate concerns that we had with the Galaxy S5. It was a little plasticky. I hated the Band-Aid back. Did not like the design of that phone. That was the first phone where it was sort of mandatory for me to put a case on it. I didn't enjoy the build on it that much. So this pendulum swing, this full pendulum swing reaction that we get from Samsung, where they've ignored the successes that they've had with the Alpha and the Note 4, and they went after a target, and the target they went after was Apple, meant that we got things like no SD card upgradability, no waterproofing, a smaller battery so that you could make the phone slimmer. All of the things that I criticize Apple for, I kind of need to criticize Samsung for. I don't like thin to the point. of reducing features that we had in previous phones. And for me, it's not enough to say, like, well, we made the phone more efficient, so it gets the same runtime as the Galaxy S5. It's like, I want to see progress there. I want to see a phone that gets better battery life. I don't want to see a phone that gets the same-ish battery life, and especially when we're dealing with a non-removable battery. For some people out there, that means when you get to the 1 year point in your 2 year contract, you can't refresh the battery. Because that was the biggie for me. I've got a spare battery for my Galaxy S4. It was because when I got to 1 year, I was like, you know what? I still like this phone. I want to keep using it. And I bought another battery and I slapped it in there. And it's like I had brand new phone battery life all over again. I don't swap batteries daily. That's crap. I have portable chargers for that. But it was nice going back to the original runtime that I had for my phone. And I think there are a minority of consumers out there who are going to be ridiculously vocal about it that care about some features like that. And it's sort of what Android was built on. So I really do appreciate Samsung trying to take some risks. I think the Edge is going to be the more interesting phone to talk about. I think that's really going to be the Samsung flagship. But I kind of have to point back to the Note and say, I think that's a better phone for the Android ecosystem.
Well, the thing is that the Note is the power phone. The Samsung the S6, we call it a flagship, but in reality, it's their average phone they put out for every. That's going to
the Note is definitely the bleeding edge platform.
I really highly doubt the Note 5. I'm pretty sure the Note 5 is going to include the same things that it had before with it, micro SD card and removable battery, because that's the user base. That's what that's meant for.
And then they'll just move to the faster flash memory storage and the faster RAM.
I think on the aspects of the reason why we still have the Edge is the price of the display.
I agree. I just kind of wish that after learning what they learned by trying to produce the Edge, that they maybe would have sorted some of that out. I mean, I know it's more complicated than that, but I hoped that's what it was.
I mean, the only way the price to get down is when somebody else decides to make another display. I mean, phone like that, and then you're supplying more people with the same displays. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you start seeing some of those prices drop.
Maybe. I think.
Or at least the adoption rate of the Edge is higher. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think Samsung's gonna give up. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're gonna try and keep that an exclusive for a while. I can't imagine that there aren't other companies asking for.
I'm sure they're the ones who made that display for BlackBerry.
You think so?
BlackBerry doesn't make displays. They're very few.
It was either them or LG that made it.
Yeah, that's it.
Them or LG that made it.
It's not like LG doesn't actually have even more experience in bending.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's one of the two companies, so. You know, chances are maybe even it was just like, hey, can we have some, because we might want to put an order eventually. And you know, for Samsung, BlackBerry's not a threat anyway, so that's something you could make business for there. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I agree with you guys that the Edge is the phone to get, just aesthetically. Just first of all, looking at it, you go, I want that.
But it's just different. It works different. There's different software on there that takes advantage of things. Takes advantage of that Edge display. It's not the same typical thing that you get out there amongst the rest of the Android ecosystem. We didn't even mention the fact that the phone does come with at least 32, 64, and
32, 64, and
128.
Well, there's no way they would have been able to get away with 16.
16. God no.
With no.
That's when that gripe would really hit.
I mean, like even HTC was like 32 and an SD card slot.
Yeah. It's good. It's good moving to 32 as the main size operation.
But to just wrap it up, I think we need to realize in the tech sphere, the Note 4 is the flagship phone. The Note series is the flagship phone.
Yeah, it is the flagship phone.
This is their commoner phone.
But you made it. The thing is that the one that sells the most is still the S. That's what most people will buy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's their commoner phone.
I guess the thing that I'm worried about is I see a Samsung that's trying to take customers away from Apple, and I see too many customers going, well, if this looks just like my iPhone, why would I move from my iPhone? What's the point?
I think that's a result of how many more Android users from the other companies can they take.
If
you have investors sitting back there, you got to remember, investors, all they're thinking of on that board is money. How much more can we go forward? Who was else left to target? Well, all that's left to target, truthfully, is Apple. That's about it.
Yeah, because if you think about
it, that's the business world. They have no competition in Android.
You're going to have a swap around in Android in the sense where Android users can easily pick and choose whichever Android manufacturer they want, or they stay loyal to Samsung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the other 50 This is just like the other 50.
Right.
It's Apple, so you have to poach from the other 50. Poaching from LG, and if you take a 10% slice from Apple, if you take 10, if you can make 10, oh my God. I mean, like you've just increased sales beyond.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is by in saying like, oh, we want to target Apple, and the Alpha didn't get the job done against the iPhone 6, so we're going to make the Galaxy S6 look exactly like an iPhone, and that to me isn't going to pull. It's not going to pull users from Apple. There aren't Apple users out there going, oh, I wish I had an Android phone that was exactly like the curves of my S6 and had the glass.
No.
But the difference is with the Alpha wasn't pitched as a top tier phone. That wasn't pitched as that. This is a competitor to the iPhone. The Alpha was not pitched as a competitor to the iPhone.
Oh, I'm just saying it was pretty clear that Samsung had the iPhone in its sights.
Yeah, it had it in its sights, but I think the thing you have to look at is that
I don't think you have a competitor when you try and make exactly the same style of product.
No, I agree with you, but see, the thing is we may argue this, right? But it's how investors and also those big pitches are made.
I know.
I mean, look at how they praise Xiaomi, and they talk about. I mean, every Xiaomi phone looks like an iPhone.
But that's
or the Novo phone.
Yeah,
but
that's like exactly the same criticisms that we might have of an HTC for not varying the design, moving from the M8 to the M9 as much, and that's probably not going to be as successful a strategy as I think HTC hopes it will be. I don't think that once you hit the consumer space that's going to be as successful a strategy as for Samsung as these investors and board members think it'll be. So I think this is going to be one of the best-selling phones of the year. It's going to be the #1 selling Android phone of the year, and I don't think it's going to make a dent in the iPhone ownership.
I think it will if combined. I mean. Go ahead, Warren. Go ahead.
But like you just said, it's going to be probably the highest selling Android phone. It's going to sell more than the S5 did last year. That's the goal of what this phone. The goal at the end of this day is this phone to sell more than last year's phone. That's the #1 line. That's #1 goal line they have to cross. Once after that, everything is cake from that point. But the thing is it's pulling users from one device to another isn't a hardware thing. It's a software ecosystem thing. You have to. People are invested in ecosystems now. You have to tell them if I leave iOS and I go to Android, am I going to get a same or better experience? Same way as if I leave Android and go to iOS, am I going to get a same or better experience? No phone or hardware is really going to push someone 100% to that.
Which is why I think this is an overly cynical response to the poor sales with the Galaxy S5 and making one phone that I think board members are going to say, oh, well, this is a phone that people will leave the iPhone for.
But remember,
we've made that point a number of times because I absolutely agree. You don't buy based on one phone.
Well, I do agree on that point.
Tried that.
I think what you're looking at here is that a lot of iPhone users, what the iPhone 6 brought that iPhone users love, is that weight, feel, and simplicity of the device, which is what I think Samsung should have copied, not necessarily the design, but that, which is what they got anyway. But I think on that aspect. But when you go back to what Warren says in software, I mean, it really is software at the end of the day.
Right.
What you put in there. I think in their case, the fact that there's a streamlined nature to what TouchWiz is now. Right. And you combine that with the better camera optics, and at least, I mean,
I'm pretty sure it's just a Note 4 camera.
But just to interject.
No, yeah, it is. I mean, in terms of just improving other software features on there, and then also, I personally think, as much as you guys didn't agree with me, I think Samsung Pay is the bigger thing. I really do, because that's the way they can attack Apple to say it does not work in 95% of the places that you've been advertising for. We do, and it works with anything. Doesn't matter. But I think that's where their big play is in software.
Yeah, but here's the problem in software. They tried to do that with all the rest devices to try to differentiate themselves well. They got heavily criticized for it. But the thing is, in the end of the day, they don't control the software pitch. Google does.
Yeah.
And they don't control that. So when they tried to differentiate themselves, we all harped on them and said, no. We want Android. We want this. We want this stock. And then now they've done that. And now what's going to pull one user from ecosystem to another other than Google having to do that by pushing Android more? Yeah, that's Google's job to do that. That's unfortunately, Samsung can't control that in the end of the day.
we have a question here from William Zeng. He says, "Do you think the market is so set now that no company can sway enough users to switch to make any significant difference in the market share?" Well, you could argue that Apple did a significant sway.
Well, and I think this is also why Samsung's replying the way they are. I think there's probably a small piece of the Samsung leadership that thinks, you know, Apple making so much noise about taking Android users with the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, because that was a big part of Apple's earnings call, was like, this is the most successful phone for pulling Android users back to the ecosystem.
What was did they have a number in saying how many Android users they
No,
took?
but that's what I mean, is like, that's also when we're talking about boardroom politics, not users on the ground and not people who actually care about tech. We're talking about boardroom politics. And I think that's also part of what goes into Samsung's design for this.
With no actual analytical data behind that, but
and we're talking about boardroom. They don't. I mean, like, they care about money, and then they care about what something.
Yeah, I mean, they don't care about that, because when Gartner
investors don't care about performance.
No, as long as every analyst group is saying that they just passed Samsung in overall shipments, it means that you've had to steal from somewhere. So you don't have to do a math anymore.
But anyway, I'm sorry. So to actually
remember you did it in a quarter where Samsung doesn't put out a flagship phone. But anyways,
it doesn't matter about actual performance. It's only the perception of that performance.
Exactly.
And
by
that
every
made
quarter.
By
every quarter, because wait until April when they outsell everyone else.
But I mean, in terms of the question that we actually got there, I think we can't just say, can one company sway? Because I think we're looking at the diversification of markets where, and you guys have heard me get cranky about this before. I think the flagship market is pretty well mature. I think most consumers are going to stick with what they know. I don't think you're going to see a lot of mobility between these various companies when we're talking about flagship phones. And that's also why I think a lot of these companies need to do a better job of targeting the entry-level market, and especially some of these emerging 3G and 4G areas where you'll have an opportunity to create a customer for life. There are areas where people are having their very first computing experiences on, you know, €90 Windows phones, and that's going to set the stage for, you know, long-term consumership, because that was a company that provided them a product that wasn't miserable to use, and that's going to be their primary computing platform for years. So then once those countries start raising up and you start getting more competitive products in that space, they're not as likely to just jump ship and go to Apple because it's more expensive and it's nicer. So that's kind of where I see the opportunity to change market share, is actually by providing better resources for entry and mid-level fare.
All right, let's. We have a winner for the Smart Access Code. It is Ben Harvey.
Yo, Ben!
Yeah, he says, I saw Smart trailer for the Xbox One. Don't know much about the game. I was hooked trying to download on my PC. Sadly, it isn't enough. So I like Greek gods, Norse gods, Egyptian god mythology. I love playing games. I love to try it out. So yeah, congrats, Ben. Send me a private message on Google Plus, and I will send you your early access code for Smite on the Xbox One, as well as 2 skins for the game. So congratulations there. All right, so more stuff from MWC. We saw smartwatches, a few. We saw Huawei release its smartwatch, which everyone kind of, you know, was all happy and praised. And then we also saw LG's 2 Urbane watches, the Urbane and
WebOS. I'm so
LTE.
stoked that WebOS is coming back.
Yeah. So I'll start off this time. From what at least I know Sam told me, he likes the Urbane. He likes the build of it because he says it feels like it was built as a solid watch, like that, you know, because if you see the images, it's thick, and people kind of complain like it's too thick, it's big. It's a watch. Watches have different sizes, so don't complain.
Right.
Shut up. I don't care. You can have watches that are super thin, super thick, doesn't matter. But he liked it because it had like a thick premium finish, so that when, you know, like if you dropped your watch, nothing was going to happen to this thing. And he was also interested in the WebOS features. It's different. It looked like it just had more functionality than what Android Wear is given. I don't know why Google hasn't done any updates to that bad boy. But I like the Urbane LTE. I like the look of the Huawei, but it's running Android Wear, so that kind of bums me out always, just because they haven't done anything with that. Juan?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I like seeing a company like Huawei enter this space. It's for me, it's tech is going to iterate faster than fashion will. And so watching these companies start to jump in, I mean, what we're talking about a third generation LG watch before Apple has even gotten their first watch out into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to say, you know, is the Apple Watch more of a fashion statement than a piece of technology at this point, because we now have a market with some pretty savvy solutions for achieving some of the same functionality, strapping notifications to your wrist. So really the only thing I'm waiting for in the smartwatch category now is for a traditional watch manufacturer to make a bigger play in this space. We're seeing the first sort of like companies dipping their toe in with Guess, you know, partnering with Martian. So they're going to be using the Martian passport to do a whole line, especially targeting women. So women focused for smart notifications and voice commands from your wrist. And it'll be sold in traditional retail outlets as opposed to, you know, Fry's. You know, for me, I'm stoked to see Huawei entering the space, and especially seeing them taking a shot at Moto with the Moto 360, because I was not particularly impressed with the Moto 360 performance-wise, but I love the Moto 360 design-wise. So that's kind of a nice step there. And then I'm always going to be happy to see some company doing something with WebOS. So LG taking the banner and running with it with a UI that makes a lot of sense for a round screen in a way that I don't think Android Wear is. It's cool when you see a circular display, but there's not a lot about Android Wear that really makes sense for a round display. So seeing a company sort of incorporate circles into the design in a way, you know, like Apple's still playing with a square screen, makes me really interested. I mean, it makes me really happy to see them playing with that sort of design element in terms of software. So I'm kind of stoked on both fronts, but I also kind of think we need to see a company like Pebble or like Qualcomm or another company step in and say, you know, we need to focus on things like battery life and outdoor screen viewability. I need to see more movement there. I mean, Garmin with the Phoenix has made an interesting play. It's kind of a washed out color display, but you can see it in direct sunlight. And I think that's going to move the functionality of these things forward a little bit more when we get longer battery life. Like I'd actually be more happy with Android Wear if it wasn't dead before I went to bed. And even with lasting a long time, my phone is constantly blowing up. I'm trying, if I actually use that watch, it's dead around dinner time. You know, if I'm really using it, not just like I have it strapped to my wrist and I occasionally glance at it. Yeah. So that to me is still a really big problem that we have with something that I'm going to wear and something that's supposed to take some of the pressure off of my phone.
Sure. Warren?
Pretty much I agree with most of what Juan said. There's not much I can really add to that. He pretty much summed it up pretty well. We're still in smartwatch infancy. We're seeing where everything's going with it. I think it's going to take the combination of the right tech company and the right fashion brand to probably push out a smartwatch well, but we still need better battery life to go with that, and that's probably the major thing. Battery life and improvements to the software as well too, just to make there's a sweet spot for smartwatches. I don't think anybody found it yet, but I think they're slowly but surely picking their way, and eventually we'll get something good out. And I'm not sure what's going to be this year or next year, but I think at some point we'll finally get that definitive smartwatch.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I wanted to bring this up. I don't know if you guys saw this. Qualcomm was showing off its touch fingerprint sensing technology, which would use your LCD as a fingerprint scanner, which is something I've said, by now we should be able to do that. So it allowed for a certain area of your screen, or they said you could probably do anywhere on the screen, where you basically just, tap your finger and you unlock the screen. So you don't have to have a fingerprint sensor anymore. And this actually, according to them, this actually takes in more data, because you're putting it on the screen and you can get every single digitized fingerprints spot that you want to off your screen. The only way it wouldn't work is if your screen is cracked.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much it. But it was just in its infancy. But it looked to me, I like that, because I was like, all right, fine. If we're going to be going this fingerprint sensing route, we have a giant screen. Why can't you use it? You know, why do you
Well,
have
I
to
mean,
put
that's
a
always been
picture
the
in there?
conceit in science fiction, you know, like you just put your finger on the screen and it's going to scan it, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's not possible.
But
So it's been really interesting watching Qualcomm sort of dance around display technology because
yeah.
it's not like they're building their own displays, but they're designing really interesting things around displays, like Mirasol, the ability to use reflective light to see a display outdoors. So they didn't really reinvent the LCD, but they added something to a color display that made a lot of sense. So again, a company like Qualcomm getting into biometrics is really exciting. I think they'll be able to iterate some cool stuff, and whether or not we get it in consumer products soon is going to be kind of up to price points. But at least we've got a company that's actually working on it.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Warren? I know you've just mentioned, but what do you
Uh,
think?
Interesting. Definitely being able just to swipe on a screen would probably allow another piece of tech like a fingerprint scanner not have to be in a phone. We can get more close to borderless phones, which would probably be the cool thing to have.
Yeah.
And it'd be something that'd be nice to standardize as well too, meaning everyone but Apple will probably use it. But
But you're right. We're right with that standardization because that now brings the smaller guys. Think about you. Whether it's your Huawei, your Xiaomi, or ZTEs come up and give tough competition because now you now have this tech that is just applied through your screen rather than adding an extra piece of hardware that will cost you more money.
exactly, exactly. Makes it a lot easier. So that's probably out of anything what I would be most excited for if this really comes out. So let's hopefully we see it.
All right, cool. All right, anything else in tech before we move up to entertainment? Because I can't remember if there's anything else. And there was no uselessness this week that I thought of.
Did we? I mean, you had a note here about Sony. Was there something
Oh,
that we
this
really wanted to talk
Sony,
about Sony?
the Z4 tablets.
Yeah.
Looks
It's
like the
super
one.
thin.
Looks like the one that they showed off at CES.
Yeah.
Yeah, just super thin. Just
I mean, I like the bummer is that we're doing this on a Sunday morning after a really long week, and I just don't know that I am that worked up about a Sony Android product while they're also talking about trying to spin off their Android division when they're not incorporating services, when they're not bringing their Android and PlayStation divisions together as much as we'd hoped they would to this point, and that it's just kind of another rectangular slate screen glowing rectangle, and that
thingamajiggy.
and that the big selling point that this tablet is so thin and rectangular and sharp edged that it will be nearly impossible to pick it up off of like a glass coffee table without like sliding it off the table to get a corner off. Like I have a hard time getting super lit up about that when I've been playing with some other really compelling gaming focused Android gear lately, and then we've got some really competitive Windows stuff starting to hit the market too, that Sony kind of feels like they're phoning this one in my opinion.
They definitely are phoning this one in. I mean,
It's like they're definitely funny. It's funny.
they're they're around for as long as until someone either buys them out, they sell it off, they spin it off, whatever they're gonna do at some point, they'll figure it out. But I guess one thing we didn't talk about is Nvidia Shield's gaming console
Oh yes, yes,
that
yes. That's
got
right.
announced, which that's actually pretty exciting what that does. I mean, it's typical Android console for the most part. We've seen all those before, but the idea is that it's going to connect to Nvidia's I forgot the name of the Grid,
Yeah.
Nvidia's Grid
Good.
platform. So you're going to be able to play, theoretically, it theoretically can push 4K, and the box itself. But what the thing about it is it can connect to Nvidia Shield, which is a bunch of graphics cards in the sky, in the
Yeah.
cloud,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to play PC-like
PC
games
games.
on the actual Grid platform.
Yeah. No. PC games, not even
Yeah,
PC. Like yeah.
you know,
That yeah, yeah, you're right. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's interesting to see how Nvidia is trying to shape itself into a more consumer-centric hardware company. And if I've played off the grid and it works, but
Hmm.
just use a Ethernet connection, don't do Wi-Fi. Not because it sucks. It's just that you just get a better connection that way.
Well, but then also, I mean, I think it's really interesting seeing a company like Nvidia because they had so much traction with the Tegra 2, Tegra 3 chipsets. Like those were in a lot of products. That then once Qualcomm started stomping them with the 800 series,
yeah,
they put out. It was I thought it was a smart. I'm not super happy with Nvidia at the moment. With the way that they handled the GTX 970, but I am really I think it was a really smart play on their part to just start building their own gear. You know, you're not using our chipsets. We're going to put them into products, and we can show you that we can make a killer gaming tablet. You're not using our, our services, so we're going to build a set-top box and a gaming box based on Android. And it's the right play because right now Razer got all that sweetheart attention with their first offerings. And Android TV being one of the first companies to showcase that kind of stuff. And the one thing I'm actually kind of surprised is that for a company that pushed 3D as hard as they did, that we're not hearing any word from Nvidia about maybe say having their own VR headset or their own augmented reality headset or something coming out of them for that.
Yeah, I kind of like peered on them on that, and it doesn't fit their current focus because with the Shield and that line, like that's the expansion of that line. Sorry, that doesn't fit that focus yet. So it's something where.
Oh, I know, but I mean, like we would probably say the same thing about Razer. That the OS VR doesn't fit their current strategy for dominating the living room.
You would say so, but it's Razer, so anything is possible with the way they work.
Right, but I just mean like being in now means that you have a consumer relationship with moving forward. So especially with Razer's stance that they're going to make it open source and you can build one now if you want. You can get the design mock-ups and print one on a 3D printer if you wanted to today.
Yeah.
But that they'll have a presence in the market where, again, I think if Nvidia leaves it up to third-party partners to try and build some type of VR solution based on Nvidia technology or Nvidia hardware, that they're going to be woefully disappointed. And by the time they decide that they want to build something out, we'll have, like Warren has so helpfully noted, another VR headset. Whoa.
To that point, right? To that point, that's kind of the place because in that VR realm right now, it's Oculus, right? Everybody knows that half of Oculus came from Valve, so Valve is also going to be respected. It's can you jump into that race in there, with something unless you come with something really innovative and different, altogether. So
well, and I mean, like I think Nvidia's biggest competitor right now is Valve for things like game streaming, game recording services, like utilizing services like Twitch, and they're still behind what you can do with Steam.
Yeah, so, by far, yeah.
That's where I think like if Nvidia is going to roll their own, they got to have a presence in every gaming related field if they're going to continue to build market awareness as being a standalone company, not just the company who builds a processor or builds a GPU, but the company that you go to utilize that CPU or GPU.
No, that's true. I hear that. Question from William Zhang here. Actually, before the question, we have another winner for the Smite access code.
This is winner.
Charlie Magni Mark. He says, nice podcast as usual. Keep up the work. Would also like to try out Smite. All right.
All right. Well, yeah, you can.
Send me a private message on Google Plus, and I will send you the codes and, of course, some skins. We have skins for days.
It just sounds so wrong.
I know it does. William Zhang says, anybody excited for Steam machines? We already talked about this.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. The one thing I want to mention about Steam machines, because I got to play the Alienware, the Alienware Steam box, I can't remember what it's called, is the Steam controller.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Blah.
So I'm playing first-person shooter Dying Light. It's got the two touchpads. One touchpad area is a D-pad. That's a touchpad area. The other touchpad area is your second analog stick, and there's an analog stick. Now I'm using this, and I go, why didn't you, like the analog stick they have, the new analog stick they have, I love the way it feels, the actual analog stick. I'm like, why didn't you just make two of them? Like the design for what they did with analog stick and its rotation and its feel, you're like, this is what every analog stick should feel like. Why do I have a second touchpad? Because you want to be different. And then your X, B, and Y buttons are next to the analog stick itself.
Oh, reasons.
It's a very interesting setup, but yeah. All right, so Warren says no. Okay, anyway, anything else?
But let me get into why no. Let's try to skip me around. We need to say why no. Have you seen the prices of these Steam machines?
Oh no, we talked about it already. We mentioned it before you jumped on. We're like, yeah, it's expensive.
I mean, if you try to go cheap, you're getting worse than what you would get out of a PS2. Like, it's just that bad. Like, I don't understand the pricing on this. I don't understand. Like, they're completely defeating what they wanted to do. The three big giant consoles seemingly like they're going to continue to reign through, and this isn't going to be disruptive as what they were expecting it to be. Why didn't they just make one and focus on making that one for everyone?
I respect this notion of flexibility of design, but they put out reference materials on what like the bare minimum Steam box could be.
It was
and of course, you've got a whole bunch of manufacturers rushing in to label something with Steam box because that'll make a headline, and it's only this like sort of bare bones model reference lowest common denominator model, and they're not differentiating themselves by anything.
$5,000 for the freaking Falcon Northwest one, like. Sorry.
No, the problem is the first reference Steam box that Steam sent out was $1,000 just by component build. And that was the problem. So that just told manufacturers that's what we're going to do if we're going to get anything
right. But that's also why I'm complaining. Like you put out a reference design, and it's up to the company to take that reference design and do anything with it that can make a compelling argument for why you might buy that product. And that's where I'm a little frustrated, where I don't feel any company has really said, hey, we've got a solution for gaming that makes sense, and maybe it's premium, so you're going to have to pay a premium price tag for it, but the reason why is this.
But the other problem with this is that they're targeting the market, the wrong market. None of us are going to buy this even if it was cheaper. We will build our own PCs
and then just run Steam on it.
This is for people that are not gonna buy, don't want to build, don't know how to build computers, or want to get into gaming, PC gaming, or they want something they heard this is a little bit better than an Xbox, a little more open. They can upgrade and add parts as they want to it, but you got to create an entry level for it and market it in that direction.
Which is where I think actually Alienware probably did a better job with their little. Was it the Alpha?
Alpha, yes. Let me give you a little interesting thing there, right? So I stopped by Zotac. They make graphics cards, right? Nvidia graphics card, and he showed me the Steam box. And it's like he didn't tell me the price, but he just said basically the pricing is like other Steam boxes out there, so I'm like close to 1,000. And then he showed me this little Windows box that they had that was 500. It was $500. Was able to run all your games, run the new 5th Gen Core i5, and I'm going, I can see me buying this.
Especially with the Xbox integration that's going to be coming, and especially for how. And
I can see me telling my viewers who are like, I want to build a PC. I'm like, just buy that. That's a Windows PC, and you will just game whatever you want with Steam.
And this is what I love is for that $500 box, and once Windows 10 drops, we already have confirmation that Windows 10, the Xbox app on Windows 10, is not going to require you to pay for online gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's a little more expensive than an Xbox One, and then you don't have to buy, Xbox Live just to play online. So I mean, already that's a way more compelling argument to make than what we're seeing with some of the Steambox stuff out there.
Yeah,
I'm not even a huge Xbox fan, and I might consider jumping on that style of gaming once Windows 10 comes out, just because I don't want to have to pay a monthly subscription fee just to play online. Yeah, and I'll be able to do it through Steam or through Xbox. I can finally game with some of my Xbox pals. I mean, like that's a no-brainer.
It is true, and that's the funny thing about it. But anyway, let's quickly round up with just a quick fire here on entertainment. We have one more Smite code, so anyone who wants to get one, tell us why you want to get the code, and also subscribe to all the channels, BWone, Somegadgetguy, as well as Bored at Work. All right, first thing, who saw the Avengers trailer? Quick thoughts.
Haven't seen it.
Juan.
Another step in the right direction. I'm digging it. I like where they're taking the storyline, and I think James Spader's voice is hella sexy for Ultron, so I'm stoked. I'm on board.
I haven't had a
Mark?
chance to see it. I haven't had a chance to see the trailer yet, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, moving on. This is from Lou Rod, Lou Rod's entertainment section. Billy D. Williams will make an appearance cameo in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. He better.
I'd be really happy to see this because I think there was a lot of bad blood between Billy D. Williams and George Lucas, and it would be nice if moving forward we could set that aside because I think Lando is another one of those characters that we could have a really interesting time exploring, especially in a future Star Wars
Yeah,
story.
if you want to do like a
So,
young Orlando Calrissian
no,
and
I
stuff
mean,
like
like
that.
we kind of have to put aside what happened because I don't even know what exactly the situation was, but it just seemed like Billy D. Williams was persona non grata for Star Wars for so long that it sort of meant that his character was also sort of meh. So it would be nice to get away from that and actually come back to because I would love to see sort of a young Lando series leading up to the days where Han Solo gets the Millennium Falcon. I think that would make an amazing miniseries or a one-off movie or standalone series or an animated feature, something. And
Yeah.
it's such an interesting character to explore, and not being able to do that was kind of a bummer.
Hmm. Warren?
Good. I kind of agree with what Juan saying there. Like, it pretty much summed up what I was gonna say. It'd be nice to see the character back into the Star Wars universe.
All right, cool. Next up, the Marvel Spider-Man movie is being considered to be titled Spectacular Spider-Man. Thoughts, Warren?
That's fine. I mean, as long as it says Spider-Man, they got to differentiate. They got to put something in front of it to differentiate it from the
Appreciate
other
from the other ones,
other
yeah,
series.
yeah.
I mean, you have I mean, I'm kind of glad they're not using Ultimate because I think that would have been a little too cliche. But Spectacular Spider-Man, that's fine. I mean, he only has so many. I mean,
uh,
after it was either that or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I mean, there really isn't much left.
Juan?
I mean, I'm right there. You know, whatever we call it, I just want to see. I want to see Miles Morales. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, that's cool. If you call it Spectacular Spider-Man, that's awesome because it's sort of a name that we are used to in comic books. So, awesome.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I don't care. I want to see who the Spider-Man is actually going to be.
Also, word is the Spider-Man reportedly will be fighting Iron Man in the first part of his movie in 2015 as an audition to join the Avengers. Like the idea? Don't like it?
Doesn't he do that in the comic?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he's done it in a couple of situations. Not
Well,
really
and then
fighting,
there
but
was
like
also
testing out.
like,
Yeah.
was it the last? No, I don't think it was the last Spider-Man series. Was it? Where it wasn't that he was auditioning for the Avengers, but he was sort of having to prove himself to be sort of a young agent on a team of superheroes for Shield.
Oh, yeah.
Was that what
I
I think
remember
that
that
was
one.
what the plot was for one of the last animated Spider-Man series.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, it's always an interesting storyline because again, it just sort of reinforces the with great power comes great responsibility, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, see me with this though, I would probably want to see this in Civil War because he's going to show up in Civil War, because then that might be, both sides trying to pull him one way or another.
I think his movie might end up being sort of
Civil War.
like there's three acts to a film. That might be the second act in that whole trilogy before it kind
Yeah.
of wraps up. He might just be there might be the filler in between there. We get some extra goodies within a story that they probably were only going to tell in two movies.
No, but Civil War's coming out next year. His movie's 2017.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have
but I mean, Civil War is a really big storyline, so there are plenty of ways to
Yeah, true.
part of the Civil War storyline, even throughout individual films. Like, if it doesn't hit a Thor film, I'll be really surprised.
Yeah.
Because
And-
Thor's,
Thor's do one more movie, I think, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then also, I mean, like the Thor storyline in Civil War is kind of dark. How Thor makes an appearance in Civil War and what that means for Giant Man is also really messed up if they tap the comics for that at all.
Yeah. And then this one is this last one here, the theory on Vision. So, Vision has that yellow thing on his head. And and someone's theory here is that the gem on Vision's head could be explained as his emotional gem, and that's also part of the stones for Thanos' gauntlet.
All right.
Which
That would be a nice way to tie it all together. I'll be curious
powerful.
just how they introduce Vision into the storyline at all, with Tony being responsible for Ultron now.
I'm not as familiar on Thanos as a character. I just know he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I just don't know him.
He's the all-powerful baddie in Marvel Universe. Like literally, that's just how you.
But what comic book does he come from? Like
Uh,
who's his main hero he fights?
um,
He
Or
kind
is
of
he
bounces
just
around.
or is he just like Colossus and just kind of bounces all around?
Oh, you mean like Apocalypse?
Apocalypse, yeah, like Apocalypse, just kind of
yeah,
bounces
kinda.
around between all the different.
Kinda,
I mean,
yeah.
because I'm getting
He's
the
like
update.
he's a universal threat. So
Because
basically, everybody has to some bunch of different teams have to kind of join together to
okay,
fight.
because
Fight him
the
out.
vibe I got from him, and as I feel, it's like this. He kind of feels like this is the Apocalypse, since I don't think they can use Apocalypse because that Apocalypse is out of the X-Men series. So I
Oh
have a
no,
feeling,
He's bigger than Apocalypse.
yeah. But that's what I feel like. That's
Yeah.
what they're
But
he's filling the role of.
yeah, I might have this wrong, but I think Thanos was. I think his first appearance was Avengers, and then that spanned like a bunch of different comics.
Mm.
So I think he even went up against like Captain Marvel. I think he made an appearance in a Daredevil. I mean, like he's one of those, like, you're right. He's kind of an Apocalypse-like character where you use this character as an event, and an event that spans a couple different books.
Yeah, that is very true. One more, I almost forgot about this. Here was the screen share, and CBS put out the first images of their Supergirl
Oh, cool.
in outfit. Here is her. I can't remember, Melissa Burnett, I think is her name. But that's her in her outfit, which
It looks. I mean, it looks right for
yeah.
what they did with the current Superman.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit lighter, but it looks like it's a bit.
I'm somewhat annoyed. Well, the skirt kind of annoys me a little bit, but
She's wearing tights.
yeah,
Also,
but
it's
it's I don't know. I think that I don't know. I'm either or with that. I guess that works. It can't for the character. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, it's one of those things. Supergirl's kind of always worn a skirt.
She's always worn a skirt. That's the thing. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
never worn anything else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm better with that than whenever you try and like give Wonder Woman pants.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is probably the only time you'll hear me say this on this podcast, but I'll side with Gloria Steinem and say Wonder Woman should not wear pants.
Nah. Well,
So that'll answer any
Well,
feminist arguments, hopefully, as to how I feel about Wonder Woman.
yeah. Well, they should like actually try to think of a good outfit. I think they're struggling with that one. It's not easy.
The Wonder Woman's outfit is fine. You don't change it, and you either keep it like the Roman guard or you keep it old school. One of the
Yep.
two. You
No,
wear
I absolutely love that they went more sort of Roman, Spartan. Yeah.
Spartan guard with it, because those are the two she's fluctuated mostly in the comic books. There was one more piece of news, but I can't remember. So I want to thank Lou Rod for. I'm serious. Like there's something else that just like skipped my brain. Thank Lou Rod for, of course, sending those awesome entertainment bites on a weekly basis. Much appreciated.
Much appreciated, Lou Rod.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming week. What can we expect from you guys? Starting off with Warren, which we probably can surmise what he's going to tell us. So what can we expect from you this week on BWone?
Things.
Come on, it's supposed to be stuff, not things.
Switching it up. Things.
Things. Okay, all right. And any things in particular that people might be interested in?
I'm not particularly sure what my schedule is going in for next week, so that I am kind of currently editing through that now. So it'll be some interesting, mostly review stuff. So some products that I've had, some tablets and such and so on.
Okay. All right. And how about you, Juan?
So last week I put out one of the best camera tutorials that I think I've ever shot on creating better depth of field with your smartphone cameras. This next week, my schedule got rocked last week, so this week I'm actually going to be wrapping up my Sennheiser Momentum Wireless review. So these gorgeous German headphones will finally be getting their video debut on my channel. Wrapping up the BlackBerry Classic. I'm really struggling with. I'm gonna have to talk to you guys off after the show because I'm really struggling with how to do comparisons with the BlackBerry Classic.
With what?
Well, I mean, like how do you compare a mid-range BlackBerry device with sort of the current crop of Android smartphones? Because it doesn't. It's a little similar to some of the struggles I had with Windows Phone. You know, like comparing a mid-range Windows phone. You don't compare it to a flagship phone, but it's not the same as comparing it to a mid-range Android device.
I mean, mid-range Android has always been terrible.
No, but that's what I mean is like, so this, you know, if you try and compare based on specs, you know, the BlackBerry Classic is going to destroy anything in the Android ecosystem. But that's not what I would compare it to. So I mean, I'm just kind of struggling with what is it that I'm really trying to show in shooting the BlackBerry Classic versus like the One M8 or the Lumia Icon, or what does that mean? Who would be shopping both of those phones? Why would I shoot a comparison between those two devices? And I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. But I will have the review out on the BlackBerry Classic. My camera review should probably be out tomorrow morning, so you can see video samples from the BlackBerry Classic. And then I'll also be wrapping up my time with the Samsung Gear S. So their smartwatch with LTE connectivity should also be towards the end of next week.
All right, cool. On my end, I still need to do that soundbar. I was busy this week completely.
I'm losing faith. I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
I know, right?
Wasn't that soundbar mentioned in what, January or something?
Yep.
Yeah. It was January. Yeah, it was just a long time. And when the CES came out, it's just a whole lot. And I was like, I'm doing it. It just.
This is why I say stuff.
Yeah. The X99 build is finished. I've just been running tests for the last week, so we'll have the videos for it up this week. Yeah, that's pretty much it I can think of off the top of my head right now. Those are the two main things that I need to get out. So let's just leave it at those two. Focus on that and try and get it out. So that's it. Let's see if we have any Smite winners here. No one else. So I'll be giving away codes throughout the day on Twitter, and so if you want to get Smite codes, look for instructions on how to win Smite early access code on the Xbox One. We do have one more comment here from Piccolo Chili Gaming and More. Says, sorry I'm a bit late. Steambox came at a tremendous price tag, which was not smart. Steam is trying to get more PC gamers, but they have to exhibit something special and attractive with such a price. They also need to bring down the price along with better advertisement and better advertisement and look at the other competition that Microsoft and Sony has, which is kind of
I mean, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
Was this for the Steam boxes? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Steam boxes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. Don't forget to check out our channels and subscribe if you want to see more content from Mr. Juan Bagnell. You can check it out at Somegadgetguy on YouTube, or just search his name, Juan Bagnell. And also check out his website, Somegadgetguy.com. And this is the audio guru on set here. The man knows his sound, especially when he's talking to microphones.
Yep.
Yeah, you probably see microphones laying around everywhere.
Dude, like the office is trashed right now.
Exactly.
It's bad. It's in bad shape.
And definitely check out Mr. Warren Bowman. And you are out of focus, bro. Your camera is doing his okay, there we go. Yeah. Of BWone.com. You can check him out on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel, BWone.com. The long form champion. And this guy has Nintendo gaming videos, but we know how Nintendo does.
I could do a whole 5-minute rant on the gaming industry.
Yes.
Long rant about that.
But definitely subscribe to his channel. Follow him on all his other social networks. It's BWone.com. And check us out at Booredatwork.com. It's our website. Our YouTube channel is Booredatwork. All our social media is also Booredatwork. So this is Thunder E saying thank you, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.